Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 1 of my new podcast on the channel. It's going to be called the MrYoYo Show. And in today's podcast, we're going to go ahead. We're going to talk about Zeke's new extension, if he does deserve it. Also, we're going to talk about if Kyler Murray made the right decision choosing baseball over football. Then we're going to go over Jared Goff's new contract extension and if he does deserve it. We're going to go over Antonio Brown, and then finally we're going to make our NFL and college football predictions for this week. So anyway, guys, let's go ahead and head into it. Okay, first topic here is going to be the Cowboys and Ezekiel Elliott. So did Elliott make the right decision? That is the question. So it broke earlier this morning at about 6 a.m. that Ezekiel Elliott did just sign a new contract. I believe it is a $90 million extension over the next 6 years. And it's a pretty insane deal, to be honest. It's an insane risk, an insane gamble to take on a running back. Like, that is something crazy. I'm actually going to lower my volume a bit. There we go. Anyway, I think it's a huge risk to take on a running back because they don't really have the greatest shelf life. And also, I mean, I get it. Zeke is one of the best running backs in the world right now, but I still don't think that I don't know. Running backs are a position that it's kind of hard to get paid because of the fact that you do take so many hits. And there have been great guys such as Jamal Charles who their careers ended because they've suffered injuries. Now, granted, Ezekiel Elliott, he probably will be the best running back until maybe 2023. Maybe I've seen that and all that. I think he definitely does deserve that extension, though. Had a great year, and to be fully honest here, he is one of the best in the running back in the NFL. And if the Cowboys did somehow lose him, it would be very hard to replace a guy like Ezekiel Elliott for what he's done the past couple of years in the NFL. I mean, he was one of the best running backs in the NFL in 2016 to 17. I mean, he just came out and he absolutely dominated. It was insane, and it was really out of nowhere that he sort of rose to the prominence that he is now. And it is pretty insane to think that Zeke, he's one of the best in the world right now. I mean, he's on top of the world, got his new extension for what he wanted, and the holdout's finally over, which I think the Cowboys really needed that, and that's my opinion. And personally, guys, that's so good news to hear for the Cowboys, but really it is a big risk to take for them because you got to think, Ezekiel Elliott, he is 24 years old, I get that, but then again, maybe once he hits 29, 30 years old, he's going to start to deteriorate because of all those hits that he's going to be taking. And it's very nerve-wracking, because that is a very big risk to take on a running back. I believe he is the highest paid running back now in the NFL, according to ESPN, and to be fully honest here, it's a very big risk. I don't know if I would have done it for the Cowboys, but then again, if you're on Zeke's level, if you are one of the best running backs in the NFL, you deserve to be one of the highest paid, and I think Zeke 100% deserved that extension, but I also think it is a huge risk to take on the Dallas side, considering the fact that running backs, tend to kind of peak when they're at 29, 30 years old, and also they don't really last that long as well, and injuries are pretty common with them. I mean, we see a guy, for example, as I mentioned before, like Jamal Charles. Jamal Charles was an incredible running back, but injuries really kind of derailed his career, and that's something the Cowboys definitely have to think about with Zeke because, one ACL injury, and you never know how he's going to come back, and that's the case for all sports. With baseball, injuries, you don't know how they're going to come back. Tommy John is, prominent in pitchers. You don't know how they're going to come back from that. Also, in the NFL and also the NBA, torn ACLs are pretty common, and you don't really know how those guys are going to come back, if they're going to come back strong or not. And I think that the same applies to running backs, and it's going to be very interesting to see if Zeke does get injured, if he's going to be able to come back, because that's a big extension for a guy like him. And to be honest here, it's very, very... It's a bit nerve-wracking for me, but then again, this is a big get for the Cowboys because they were able to go ahead. They signed one of the best running backs in the NFL. He's going to be fully practicing, and he is really a key cog of that offense. People could say, oh, trade him and all that, but then again, it's like, it's not that easy because first of all, you got to get a deal that really fits his talent, and you can't really get a deal for him. And also, second, you got to bank on either signing a guy in free agency or drafting a running back that's going to be as good as him. And the talent that Zeke has and the level that he's on, it's very hard to, see through drafting if you go ahead and try and draft a running back, you don't know what he's going to be like. And I think that this is a smart decision, but also it's a very big risk to take. Now, granted, the Cowboys, but Dak Prescott is still not signed. Amari Cooper is still not signed. And also, they did just sign, I believe, Lyle Collins to a 5-year extension, making him one of the highest paid right tackles in the league. That was a very interesting move. They also extended Jalen Smith this year as well, making him a pretty goodly paid middle linebacker. And I believe Jalen Smith actually came off a few injuries in his rookie and sophomore year. I think he had a few ACL injuries. So it's going to be very interesting here what the Cowboys are going to do with Dak Prescott and also with Amari Cooper, both on their contract years. I think that I don't know how much money they're going to do. I mean, I don't know how much money they're going to have to sign both Dak and Amari Cooper. I don't know if they're going to have enough money, but it will definitely be very interesting, and I think Dak's going to get a massive deal. Same thing with Amari Cooper too, but I don't know if they're going to have the money. However, I just read, though, that Lyle Collins' contract, or I read it yesterday when he got the extension, that it actually freed up about $5 million in cap space, so that money was probably used to kind of, leverage Zeke into signing with them. And you know what, man? I like Lyle Collins. I think he's a good young right tackle, trying to keep the offensive line together. You look at Dallas, they got one of the best offensive lines in the league. Travis Frederick is a top 5 center in the league. Zach Martin is possibly the best guard in the league, right and left guard. And then also you got Tyron Smith, who's one of the best tackles in the league. And also, an interesting thing as well, this is, not related to the topic, but I believe Trent Williams is still holding out. So that is very interesting as well, what the Redskins are going to do with Trent Williams, because for the past couple of years, he has consistently been one of the best left tackles in the NFL. And now he's holding out and he wants, more money. And it's going to be very interesting. And also, I think Julio Jones wants to get paid as well. So there's going to be a lot of players coming up that really are going to need to be paid. Also, you're going to wonder, what is Patrick Mahomes going to get paid? You got Jared Goff becoming one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL, which we will talk about next. And also, you got Carson Wentz getting that massive extension. Really, what do you think Patrick Mahomes is going to get? Because Mahomes is better than those two, and he's an MVP, threw 50 touchdowns. He had an incredible year. So you don't know how much he is going to get paid. It's going to be very interesting to see what he's going to get paid when he does hit the free agency market, if he does, or even what an extension is going to get him. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. But yeah, I think that the Cowboys, they made a good decision by re-signing Zeke, but also I think they made a gamble because you don't know how he's going to perform, if he'll perform down, if he maybe will get an injury. You don't really know. So you're going to have to wait and see on that. But in my opinion, Zeke 100% deserved his money and got paid, and that's really it. I mean, he really just deserved his money 100%. And the next topic we're going to talk about is going to be the extension of Jared Goff. He ended up getting a massive extension. I believe the news broke last night. Yeah, $134 million he got an extension for with the Los Angeles Rams. So last night it broke at about 8:15 p.m. It says the Los Angeles Rams and Jared Goff have agreed on a contract extension, a 4-year extension that will keep Goff with the team through 2024. And also the deal is worth $134 million and includes an NFL record $110 million guaranteed. And it says these figures top Carson Wentz and then also I think that's it. Yeah, 4-year extension worth $128 million that Carson Wentz got. So this is insane. I mean, it's kind of a toss-up right now because Jared Goff, I actually really like this deal by the Los Angeles Rams. I think that this is good. Jared Goff played really well last year for the Rams. I feel that this is... Oh yeah, I should probably change the text. So give me a minute, guys. I have to go and change the text real quick. So I'll go, did the Rams make the wrong decision? There we go. Did the Rams make the wrong decision? All right, there we go. So that is done. So really the question is, did the Rams make the wrong decision? I think not. I think that, Jared Goff is a top 5 young quarterback in the NFL. He's really young, was picked, I believe, number 1 overall, I believe, by the St. Louis Rams, I believe, at the time. Or it might have been Los Angeles. But either way, I think it's a very interesting get. And I feel that Jared Goff, I think he deserved his money. He's going to be signed through 2024, I believe it said. And I feel that this is going to be good. I believe, the only two quarterbacks, I actually would take three quarterbacks, though, over Jared Goff. I was actually talking about this earlier. And I would personally take, at number one, the top quarterbacks that are under 27 years old. Number one is going to be Patrick Mahomes. I would 100% take him over Jared Goff. Number two is going to be Carson Wentz. I would take Carson Wentz over Jared Goff as well. Carson Wentz was more productive, and I feel that he'll have a good bounce-back season. And I feel that he's going to live up to the hype that people are projecting him to be, as well as the Eagles team. And then number three, this is going to be a very surprising pick. I'm actually going to take Deshaun Watson over over Jared Goff because, you look at Deshaun Watson and what he did in his rookie year before he got the ACL injury. It was insane. Like, he was throwing for 300-400 yards a game, multiple touchdowns, played well against the Patriots. I did watch that game. It was very, very good. And it's just, he's a great quarterback, man. Deshaun Watson is a really, really good quarterback. And then number four, obviously, would be Jared Goff in terms of the best quarterbacks, 27 or younger. And I would take all three of those guys over Jared Goff. But you know what, man? I believe that the Los Angeles Rams made the right decision. Jared Goff was one of the key cogs in their championship run in 2019. And that's just my opinion, man. I feel that they made the right decision. Jared Goff 100% deserved his money. And that's essentially it. I feel that he deserved his money 100%. Now, I don't know if the Rams are going to be the same as they were last year, though, because they did lose a couple of guys. But also, they did sign some they brought some guys in. They brought in Eric Weddle. They brought in also Clay Matthews, I believe they brought in. But the weirdest thing is, how do they have all this money? Because you think Gurley is one of the highest paid running backs in the NFL. Jared Goff is now top 5 or top 10 paid quarterback in the NFL. Also, you got Aaron Donald, who has a big contract. So it's kind of crazy where they're getting all this money from to sign all three of these guys to massive extensions or contracts. And it's going to be very interesting. And I don't know, is it going to bite them in the butt? I'm not sure right now. But Aaron Donald, one of the best defensive players in the NFL. He's won Defensive Player of the Year, I believe, twice. Definitely deserves that. Also, Todd Gurley was really good. I believe he's an Offensive Player of the Year. So the Rams are looking good going into the season. And I like their offensive line as well. They got Whitworth. They got Rob Havenstein in the tackle positions. And I think they also signed someone else, if I believe. But yeah, the biggest thing, though, for them is going to be, can their defense hold up? Because last year, the Rams got scored on a lot. And now, I know it's a big scoring league at this point. But then again, also, you got to have a very solid defense. And I think the main reason why the Rams lost the Super Bowl last year was because their defense just didn't hold up to standards. You can't expect to win games that are shootouts. Like, for example, the Rams and the Chiefs. You're not going to win games 54-51 that often. That's not that kind of thing. I think a good defense can go a long way in the NFL. So, in my opinion, the Rams, if they do have some money or something, they could try to make a trade for a big defensive guy, because I think it would really help. They really need some help on defense, and they cannot go and expect to win games when they're allowing 20, 30 points a game. And that's just my opinion, and I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure what the Rams are going to do this year. I mean, they did make some additions, but also, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a very, very interesting time to see if the Rams are going to be the same as they were last year or if they're going to take a fall. And that's my opinion. The next thing we're going to go over is going to be none other than Antonio Brown. So this guy, guys, I mean, oh, man. He's just, I don't know, man. He is a piece of work, man. I think that's an understatement for him. He's a pain in the ass. All right, he's a straight pain in the ass. I mean, that's just what it is. He's a pain in the rear end. And when I saw this story, I'm like, are you kidding me? It's another thing for Antonio Brown. One on top of another on top of another. It's like, when is this guy gonna stop being like this egocentric person? I mean, he's just unbelievable, He just wants to be the best. He doesn't care about the team, and that's just it. So he went ahead And apparently, he posted on social media a letter he received from the team, the Oakland Raiders, obviously, that detailed about $54,000 in fines for missing time during training camp. Antonio Brown's response was, "When your own team wants to hate, but there's no stopping me now. The devil is a lie. Everyone got to pay this year, so we clear." The letter posted by Brown on Instagram Wednesday was from Raiders general manager Mike Mayock, who informed Brown that he was being fined $13,000 for missing a walkthrough on August 22nd in unexcused absence. Brown was with the team in Winnipeg for a preseason game that day, and although he may have missed the walkthrough, he did participate in pregame warmups and ran routes and caught passes from quarterback Derek Carr. The list also mentions that the team previously had fined Brown $40,000 for missing training camp on August 18th, the day the GM issued his ultimatum on Brown, saying it's time for him to be all in or all out, okay? Mayock also advised Brown that should he continue to miss mandatory team activities, including practices and games, the Raiders reserved the right to impose additional fines and discipline. So, in my opinion, man, I gotta be fully honest, the Raiders 100% made a mistake trading for this guy. They made a mistake. Now, granted, I know they didn't give up a lot to get him, but when you look at what he's done in the past couple of months, first of all, he went after Juju Smith-Schuster, saying that he fumbled the biggest game of the year and all that. And it's like, dude, shut the hell up, because you were taking pictures with Michael Thomas after the game while Juju was crying on the sidelines because he went ahead, he dropped the pass, and he actually cared about the Oakland Raiders. Not the Oakland Raiders, the Pittsburgh Steelers. He cared about the team. You don't care about the team. All you care about is just padding your pockets and also making yourself better. Also, he went ahead, this whole helmet debacle was absolute BS. Like, come on now, a freaking helmet? You're a wide receiver. Catch balls and shut up. Really, just catch balls and shut up, because it's unbelievable. Like, you filed a grievance twice and you lost. You should have went ahead, accepted it, and moved on. You shouldn't be making more noise by posting a letter from the NFL and doing a response saying, oh, your team is hating on you. The team traded for you, and I believe they gave him an extension. It's like, that's not hating. That's called padding your pockets, and the team really was confident on you. But now I don't think John Gruden and also Mike Mayock are as confident as they were when he was coming in. And I think Brown is an absolute head case, and I think he's just upset because now he's not the number one wide receiver in the NFL. There's guys that have passed him by, and he was just mad because Juju Smith-Schuster was taking all the spotlight from him in Pittsburgh. He was mad, so he wants to go ahead. He wants to rip Juju Smith-Schuster, your own teammate nonetheless. Then you get traded to the Raiders. You get everything you want. The team loves you. Then you go ahead and you say that your own team is hating on you. It's like, it's just, I don't get this guy, man. I can't get a good read on Antonio Brown. He's just unbelievable, man. He just needs to shut up, catch balls like a wide receiver, and just go along his day. You don't see Le'Veon Bell doing this kind of crap. I mean, he's silent. He's releasing rap albums. He's being very humble, and he wants to get to work with the Jets. And you know what? It's like, screw you, Antonio Brown, because really right now you're looking like a bigger villain than Le'Veon Bell is. Because when Le'Veon Bell held out, I bet people were saying, oh, he's the ultimate villain and all that. But then once you sat out week 17 and went after your own teammate, then they're like, oh, maybe Antonio Brown is a really big head case and maybe we do need to trade him. So you get traded, you get everything that you want, a new contract, you're with the Raiders, you're with a different team, yet you're still going ahead and causing drama. Yet Le'Veon Bell is with the New York Jets, who, by the way, have a way better team than the Oakland Raiders, a way better future, and yet you're still going ahead and you're going ahead, you want to, you want to fight for your helmet and all that. It's like, just shut up, man. Just shut up. You lost the grievance once. You lost the grievance twice. In my opinion, if he had only lost once and just forgot about the whole thing, that would have been fine. But no, you decide, you know what? This is unjust. Let's go ahead. Let's file a second grievance. What happened? You lost. So go ahead, accept it. Stop posting stuff on social media. Get to training camp. Get with your new team, because they gave you everything, and what you're doing to them right now is straight disrespectful. Straight disrespectful. The Raiders should have never traded for him. He should have gone to the Bills, quite frankly. The Raiders should not have touched him. They should not have even, considered a thought of trading for him. And now they're feeling the effects because they're like, you know what? Let's go ahead. Let's take a chance on this guy. Maybe he won't be as bad in Oakland. But no, he's even worse in Oakland than he was in Pittsburgh. And it's just a damn shame because this guy is just super talented, yet his talent is just getting overshadowed by his ego. And it's absolute BS, man. He's just mad because the NFL has passed him by, and that's just what it is. I think he's going to have a down season this year. I don't think he's going to play like he did in Pittsburgh, and then Raider fans are going to turn on him, and, not if they're already turning on him, because if I were a Raider fan right now, I'd be really mad at Antonio Brown. I would say, you know what, just catch balls for the team, go out, run routes, participate in practices like everybody else. Don't be disrespectful to Mike Mayock, John Gruden and all that. Don't be disrespectful to the team because right now you're painting the Oakland Raiders and yourself in a bad picture. So that's just it, that's just my opinion. And you know what? I just had to say it. And also, John Gruden, you must be really regretting that 10-year contract you signed because this team is an absolute mess now that Antonio Brown is here. And in the regular season, when he doesn't get the ball from Derek Carr, he's going to go ahead. He's going to punch another Gatorade bottle. Hell, he might even punch a kicking net, just like Odell Beckham. We'll get that reincarnated, reenacted by Antonio Brown. And that's just it. That's all I have to say about it. Moving on here, we're going to go ahead. Man, that was a rant. That was a rant and a half, huh? So anyway, here we go. The next thing we're going to go over is going to be the Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray situation. It's not really a situation. It's more of just whatever. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to talk about this right now. And Cliff Kingsbury said he essentially cannot get a read on Kyler Murray. So I'm just going to go ahead real quick. Did Kyler, I don't think that's how you spell it. There we go. Make the wrong choice. And there we go. So essentially, did Kyler make the wrong choice choosing football over baseball? Now, if you guys don't know, let me give you a bit of backstory. So, Kyler Murray was a very good football player at Oklahoma, as, most of you football fans know. But he was also a very good baseball player. He was drafted with the number 9 overall pick in the 2018 MLB draft to the Oakland Athletics as an outfielder. And he, I believe, got a guaranteed contract. He was going to play in the minors and all that. But he suddenly rose to prominence playing football. He was so good playing football that he actually stuck with that rather than going to baseball. And now moving on here, he was the number 1 overall pick. The Cardinals selected him. They traded Josh Rosen for him. And Kyler Murray is now a football player. So let's go ahead. Let's go over this real quick. So this news article posted by Josh Weinfuss of ESPN staff. By the way, ESPN, I love you guys, by the way. Thank you for keeping me up to date on the news. And also Twitter. Thank you. Anyway, here we go. With just days left before the Arizona Cardinals unveiled their secretive offense against the Detroit Lions on Sunday, first-year coach Cliff Kingsbury still can't get a read on how number 1 overall pick Kyler Murray is handling the moment. No one can. Murray is quiet by nature and has been since he was a child growing up in Texas, but he has yet to open up now that he's in the NFL and playing for a coach he had known since he was 15. So pretty much here, Kingsbury can't even get Murray to tell him which plays he wants to run this week. And he said in a quote, he's competitive and he wants to make it all work. But yeah, there's definitely those conversations going on. We want to make sure he's as comfortable as possible because it will be a tough challenge. It's hard to step in as a rookie day 1 and win a football game. We understand that. So we're going to try and help him as much as we can. So basically, really, did Kyler Murray make the wrong choice? 100%. Because if you take a look here at the differences between baseball and football, now, I know baseball has a more rigorous schedule. You're basically playing every single day, while football, you're only playing once a week, maybe even like one, you're playing once a week, except from the bye week. But, the injuries are just too much. A quarterback is going to go ahead, he's going to be sacked, and he's going to be hit pretty hard. I mean, you've seen some of the greatest quarterbacks go down with injuries. You've seen the kind of injuries that in the NFL people have suffered, like Joe Theismann, for example. He had that horrible leg injury. Alex Smith had a horrible leg injury. Like, those kind of things can happen, and I think it's going to be more common for Kyler Murray. It's going to happen. It won't happen more, but there's a higher chance because he does have a small stature. He's smaller than most quarterbacks. Now, granted, you have guys like Drew Brees who are rarely injured, and he can go ahead. He can play a full 16-game season at 40 years old. But Kyler Murray, I just don't think is that. And plus, he is a running quarterback as well. He's that kind of quarterback. He's a run-first kind of guy. And those kind of quarterbacks in the NFL don't really pan out. Like, yes, you got exceptions like, Lamar Jackson and Deshaun Watson. But even then, you had Robert Griffin III, who won the Heisman, was one of the top guys coming out of college at the University of Baylor, went to the NFL, and he got injured. And all of a sudden, he fell off the face of the earth, And now, granted, you can say, oh, yeah, well, the Redskins rushed him back. I get that. But then again, I just think it was the wrong move, and I just, Robert Griffin III was a run-first quarterback, and then he just didn't pan out. I mean, he had all the talent in the world, yet he was a run-first quarterback. The Redskins rushed him back, and that's how he got injured. And it's a shame because the guy had so much talent coming out of Baylor. He could throw the ball. He could run like the wind. I mean, he was just insane. But unfortunately, injuries derailed his career. And I think that's what happened. That's what is going to happen with Kyler Murray. I felt that if he could have chosen baseball, the injury risk would have been a lot lower. Plus, he would have been able to, I think he would have had a successful career. I didn't really see a lot of stats, but I still think Murray could have had a more successful career in baseball than he could in football. Now, granted, he might prove me wrong. He might go ahead. He might win, the MVP. He might go ahead. He might be a Hall of Famer. But I feel that he could do more in baseball. That's just my opinion. I don't think small quarterbacks can really make it in the NFL. And he's not really a big body. He has small hands. And also, he's a run-first quarterback. And those kind of quarterbacks don't usually make it in the NFL. There are rare exceptions. But I feel that I don't think he's going to work out in the NFL. And I think he'll be regretting it in 3 years, saying, well, I should have gone to baseball rather than football. Because he had a guaranteed contract, top 10 draft pick. He would have shot through the minors, and he would have been able to get to the major leagues. And I think he would have excelled there. I really think he would have. But unfortunately, he chose football. And that's what happens. Also, you got to think there's the, CTE going on right now. And, these quarterbacks can take shots to the head, these really nasty shots to the head, and you could get concussions and all that, and you could be messed up for life. Yet with baseball, it's not really that prominent. That's just the kind of sport football is. It's a very dangerous sport. You can get injured a lot easier. By the way, thank you, Riley Brock, for the comment, man. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry I didn't read that earlier. Anyway, yes, and I will be trying to make AEW stuff when it first airs. Anyway, moving on here. I just think that Kyler Murray made the wrong choice. I think he should have gone to baseball. And I think he would be more successful. Now, granted, he might prove me wrong. I hope he does, because it would be a great story for Kyler Murray. But I just think that he made the wrong decision. And, on the outside looking in right now, I feel that he made the wrong decision. And that's just my opinion. Now we're going to move on here to the Falcons are going to find $5 million to help with the Julio Jones deal. So this was reported at 10:11 a.m. So here we go. The Atlanta Falcons restructured 2 contracts Wednesday to free up salary cap, which would create more breathing room for the team to absorb a Julio Jones extension while having space for signings throughout the season. So they converted the salaries of Ricardo Allen and also Jake Matthews, the free safety and left tackle, to create $5 million in cap space. And it also said that the team converted $4.375 million of Matthews' $6.5 million base salary and $2.25 million of Ricardo Allen's $3.5 million base salary. And this is going to be essentially in order to make room for Julio Jones to sign the extension whenever he does get it. And this is going to be a very, very interesting thing to talk about because Julio Jones, he's going to have to get paid at some point. Now, in my opinion, does Julio Jones deserve a contract extension? 100%. He has been one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, one of the most consistent wide receivers. He's been the core of the... All right, let me go ahead. I just got to write this real quick. An extension. There we go. We're good. Okay, so anyway... Does he deserve an extension? 100%. I feel that he is a very good wide receiver. He's the core of the Falcons, excuse me. Without him, the Falcons would not be where they are. They wouldn't be even sniffing the playoffs, in my opinion, because Julio Jones is just such an integral part of that team. And he's, in my opinion, he's one of the main reasons why Matt Ryan has been so successful in the NFL. One of the main reasons why he is an MVP, why he's, excelled like he has, is because of Julio Jones. He's that good of a wide receiver that he can make a quarterback better. That's just what it is. He can make a quarterback better, and that's the kind of guy that Julio Jones is. I don't think Antonio Brown's a guy that can make, quarterbacks better, but I think that Julio Jones is definitely a guy that can make quarterbacks better, and he's just so dynamic. His height, his speed, his agility, he's just a really good quarterback, a really good wide receiver. And I really like Julio Jones. I think he deserves an extension. Now, he's probably going to become one of the highest paid in the NFL, but he deserves it. He deserves it 100%. That's all I have to say on that topic. So let's go ahead now. Let's get into the nitty gritty, boys. So we're going to go ahead. We are going to take a look at my college football and also my NFL predictions for week 1 this week. Oh, baby, this should be fun. All right, so here we go. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to go over just the top 25 teams, none of the other games. So here we go. The first game we're going to go over, by the way, I'm sorry if I blew your eardrums out with that clap. But here we go, guys. The first game we're going to go over is Boise State taking on Marshall. I like Boise State in this one. Not really a big game. Next one is Ohio State versus Cincinnati. I like Ohio State in this one again. Cincinnati is a good team, and they could possibly win. I think they're in the AAC or the ACC this year. But I think that Ohio State is going to go ahead and take this one. Next is Michigan Army, which I'm definitely going to watch that game because that could be a very fun game to watch. But I think Michigan is going to come away with this one. They're going to beat Army. Excuse me. Moving on, we got Iowa taking on Rutgers. I'm going to take Iowa. Next is going to be Syracuse, Maryland. I'm taking Syracuse in this one. Moving on now. Oh, yeah. VTech versus Old Dominion. I'm taking VTech because they're not a top 25 team, but they're borderline, so I'll include them. Next here, moving on, Utah, Northern Illinois. I'm taking Utah. They could be a very big surprise, though, out of the Pac-12. They do have a very, very good team this year. They definitely could, shock a lot of people. They could win the Pac-12. They could be one of those dark horses, and I really like Utah. I like their football team this year, ranked, top 15 in the country, and I think they're going to do really well this year. Definitely look for them to be good in the Pac-12. Moving on now to the next game, Texas A&M and Clemson. This is going to be a very fun game to watch. I'm going to take Clemson, but very slightly. I like Texas A&M this year, and they're coming up against a very hard opponent in Clemson, but I think that Clemson's going to win slightly, but I definitely think this is going to be a shootout between two teams that can really put up a lot of points. Next is going to be Wisconsin, Central Michigan. I'm taking Wisconsin in this one. Jonathan Taylor had an incredible game versus USF, 4 touchdowns. I think he's going to be the Heisman winner this year. I don't see a lot of people talking about him. I see a lot of Tua Tagovailoa. I see even Jalen Hurts getting into the conversation. But I think Jonathan Taylor could definitely win the Heisman this year. His talent is just undeniable. One of the best running backs in the country. And I'm definitely going to take Wisconsin to win this. Next is Nebraska, Colorado. So this is very interesting. Nebraska obviously has the quarterback JT Martinez, I believe. And also Colorado has been one of those teams that even if they're not in the top 25, they still can get some pretty big upsets. But I think in this one, I'm going to take Nebraska very slightly, but I wouldn't be shocked if Colorado did in fact get the upset over Nebraska. Moving on to the next game here, it is going to be Alabama, New Mexico State. Do I even have to say this? Alabama. Georgia, Murray State, taking Georgia. Murray State has had a good basketball team when John Morant was there. But Georgia, moving on to football, they don't really have a good team. So that's what I'm doing. Next is Washington State, Northern Colorado. I'm going to take Washington State. They had a really good year last year, and I think that they could definitely have a good year this year. We'll have to wait and see. South Dakota, Oklahoma. Really now. Taking Oklahoma. Next is UCF, Florida Atlantic. This could be also an interesting game as well because Florida Atlantic I've seen as a contender to win the conference this year, whatever conference they're in. And I think I'm going to take UCF very slightly, though. This could be another shootout, and that's what I'm saying right here. Next matchup is going to be, we will do Texas LSU. This one This is going to be an incredible game. This might be game of the week right here. And in my opinion, this is a very tough one because LSU does have a lot of good players. They have Grant Delpit, one of the best safeties in the country, but they also are versing Texas, who has Sam Ehlinger. And man, this is a very tough one. I'm making a bold prediction, though. I'm going to go Texas. They are going to beat LSU. They're going to move into the top 6. They could definitely make the college football playoff this year. I really like Sam Ehlinger. I really like, Colin Johnson. He did skip the draft last year. He came back, and I really like Texas in this one. Auburn, Tulane, taking Auburn. Florida, UT Martin, taking Florida. Penn State, Buffalo, taking Penn State. Oregon, Nevada, taking Oregon. Michigan State, Western Michigan, taking Michigan State. That's another obvious one. Then moving on here, Washington, California, going to take Washington. Stanford, USC. That's going to be another, that's going to be another good game. That could be another shootout here. I'm going to take Stanford slightly. I think that the loss of JT Daniels, though, for USC is going to be a massive loss. I still think, though, they're going to find a way to keep it close, but I think Stanford is going to come out on top in this game. So now we're going to move on to the NFL, the Week 1 NFL games. So here we go. So Thursday night, Green Bay versus Chicago. So this one, I've seen a lot of people say that Green Bay is going to be an 11 or 12 win team. I've seen people very high on Green Bay. I just don't think the hype is there, though. Personally, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Chicago in this one. They're going to beat Green Bay. I think this is going to be a good game to watch, but in my opinion, I don't think Green Bay is an 11 or 12 win team like people were saying. And Chicago is also heavily favored to win the Super Bowl this year. I think they're going to have a resurgence. They're going to come back. They're going to make the playoffs, and they're going to make a run. I think Eddie Pinheiro is going to be an absolute stud for them. He was a stud at Florida, one of the best kickers in the nation, down when he was down in Florida. So I'm going to take Chicago in this one. They're going to beat Green Bay. And yeah. Next one is Tennessee, Cleveland. I'm going to take Cleveland Browns in this one. They have an incredible team this year. They traded for Odell Beckham. Now, granted, they did subtract Jabril Peppers, who was one of the best young safeties. I mean, he's really, really good. Definitely very promising. And they also do have Juice Landry, a.k.a. Jarvis Landry. They have a good offensive lineman in Joel Bitonio. They also got, I believe, Corey Linsley. They got David Njoku. They got a good receiving core. Also, you got to think Kareem Hunt's coming back in Week 9, I think. So that's going to be very interesting. Also on the defensive side, Myles Garrett is an absolute stud. They signed Sheldon Richardson out of free agency. Denzel Ward might have a good sophomore season. Also, I think Baker Mayfield's going to have a good sophomore season. So they're going to be a very interesting team to watch. I'm going to take Cleveland in this one. Baltimore, Miami. I'm taking Baltimore. Miami just completely blew up their whole team. Traded Laramie Tunsil, and also they traded Kenny Stills. They got rid of a lot of players. Also, Kiko Alonso is another key subtraction in that team. And I just don't think they're going to be good this year at all. But then again, they did get 2 first-round picks in the Stills and Tunsil deal. So those could come in handy. And I think that Baltimore is going to win this one. Moving on to Atlanta, Minnesota. I'm going to take Atlanta in this one. They do have a pretty good team. Matt Ryan, Julio Jones. Their defense is going to be coming back healthy. So I think that they're going to win this one. And Minnesota, I think they could definitely have a bounce-back year. But I just don't see them getting off to the right start in Week 1. Buffalo, New York Jets. I'm going to take the Jets in this one. They did sign Le'Veon Bell. They got C.J. Mosley. They also made some pretty big trades. They ended up getting Alex Lewis, I believe, from the Ravens. They got Kalichi Osemele. They almost signed Anthony Barr, but he backed out at the last minute. And I'm going to go ahead taking the Jets in this one. Also, I think Sam Darnold is going to have a good sophomore season. Next is Philadelphia, Washington. I'm taking Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia is going to make it all the way to the Super Bowl. They have one of the most talented defensive lines in the league. Very good offensive line. A very good quarterback who had an MVP-type season in 2017. Also, they have Alshon Jeffrey, Nelson Aguilar, Zach Ertz, who is one of the best tight ends in the NFL. Very good offensive line, very good linebacking core, good secondary. I think Philadelphia has it all, and they could realistically come out and they can, go to the Super Bowl and possibly even win the Super Bowl. But it's going to all rely on if Carson Wentz is going to perform, and that's about it. Next is Los Angeles, Carolina, and I'm actually going to take Carolina here. I know it seems crazy. I think Cam Newton, though, is going to have a good year. I think Cam Newton's going to have a really good year. And I think he's going to be top 5 in MVP voting. That's right. I said it. He might be top 5 in MVP voting. We've seen what he's able to do when he is healthy. And I think Cam, because he set his shoulder, he's feeling like a rookie now again. He feels healthy, feels 100%. I feel that he's going to have a great year. He'll be top 5 in MVP voting, and he's going to lead Carolina to a playoff berth. And I'm taking Carolina in this one at home. Next is Kansas City, Jacksonville. I'm taking Kansas City in this one. They did subtract D Ford, Tyrann Mathieu, and also, who was another guy they subtracted? Oh, yeah, Kareem Hunt. But then again, they still have Tyreek Hill. They still have Patrick Mahomes, who a lot of people are saying is going to have another MVP season. Travis Kelce, who in my opinion is the best tight end in the NFL. Mitchell Schwartz, one of the best tackles in the NFL. Also on defense, they got rid of Justin Houston as well. But they do have Kendall Fuller on defense, a defensive back. He is pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Kansas City in the away game. Moving on to Indianapolis taking on the Chargers. I'm going to take the Los Angeles Chargers in this one because they are home. But not only because of that, also because they have a pretty good team this year. Even without Derwin James, Joey Bosa is going to be 100% healthy. I watched Adam Shine actually. He did say that Joey Bosa could be comeback player of the year. And I do agree with him. I think that when healthy, Bosa is one of the best ends in the league. He can definitely get to the quarterback at an elite level. And I feel that he's going to be good. They still have Phillip Rivers, still have Hunter Henry. They have Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. They have a very good team, and I think they're going to succeed this year a lot. They're going to beat Indianapolis at home. Plus, it kind of sucks that Indianapolis now does not have Andrew Luck. Moving on now to Cincinnati, Seattle. I'm going to take Seattle, at home in this one because I really like Seattle. I really like Seattle a lot in this game, and I think they might have a good year. And they did just acquire Jadeveon Clowney, and they acquired him not even a week ago. And he's going to be a monster for that team. He's going to be so good. I think Clowney's going to have a great year, and I see them winning. Moving on to New York and Dallas, I'm going to take Dallas at home, obviously. Zeke coming back is a huge get for Dallas, and I feel that they're going to really succeed with Zeke. Now, I don't think they're going to win the NFC East. I think that the Eagles are going to win the NFC East, but I also think that the Cowboys are going to come in as a close second here. So that's what I'm saying. I would say they're going to take 2 out of 2 from New York, and that's my opinion. Next, moving on, Detroit, Arizona. This is like a tank bowl, essentially. Both teams are not really that talented, but I am going to take Arizona. I think Kyler Murray is going to have a pretty good game, and that's about it. Really nothing to say. Moving on now, Tampa Bay and San Francisco. I'm going to take San Francisco away here. Reason why is because they actually have a pretty good team. They got Marquise Goodwin. They got Jimmy Garoppolo. Hopefully he can actually play, more than 10 games this year because he got the ACL injury in like week 1 or 2 or whatever it was. And it was, very unfortunate to see what happened with Jimmy Garoppolo, but he is back now. They also do got some pretty young pieces on the offensive line, including Mike McGlinchey, and they also got Joe Staley, who is still one of the best left tackles in the league. And then on defense, they don't have Reuben Foster, but they do have some pretty, good young pieces on defense. They acquired D Ford in the trade with Kansas City. I think he's going to have a good year. He was one of the reasons why they made the AFC Championship. He was a key cog in the system. And yeah, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take San Francisco away. Final game, Pittsburgh, New England. I'm going to take New England at home in this one, but I think this is going to be a shootout. The reason why, dude, I feel that New England, despite not having a tight end, they're still going to have a pretty good year. Josh Gordon is reinstated. I think that he's going to make a big splash. I also think that, they still retain the offensive line. They got Joe Thuney. They got Shaq Mason, 2 of the best guards in the NFL. Now, granted, David Andrews' season might be in jeopardy, but I still think that Joe Thuney and also Shaq Mason are going to really do good at protecting the quarterback. Still have Dante Hightower. Still have Stephon Gilmore, one of the best man corners in the league. And I'm going to take New England, but also I do like Pittsburgh a lot this year. I feel that letting go of Brown and Bell is going to be really good for the team, and that's my opinion. Moving on now to Monday night's game. We have 2 games on Monday night. We have New Orleans, Houston, and Oakland, Denver. So New Orleans, Houston, I'm going to take New Orleans in this one. Reason why is because they're at home, but also they have an incredible team this year. Michael Thomas just got a new extension. They got Traquan Smith. They still got Alvin Kamara, who is one of the best receiving backs, better yet, one of the best running backs in the NFL. They have a very well-balanced team, and I feel that they're going to do good this year. I think Houston's not going to do so well, though, with the subtraction of Jadeveon Clowney. Moving on now to Denver and Oakland, the final game, and I'm going to take Oakland at home. The only reason why is because Denver really is not that exciting this year. They still don't have a quarterback. Yeah, you could say Joe Flacco, but he's just not that, man. Joe Flacco is not a really good quarterback. He's past his prime. And yeah, and then also Oakland, I mean, they're just a head case. They're a team of head cases. Let's be freaking honest here. But anyway, guys, hope you have enjoyed episode 1 of the MrYoYo Show. If you did, smash a like, trash smash 5 likes. I'll be trying to come back every Wednesday. I'm going to try and do. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the video, or the stream, excuse me. Take care.